Thank you, Danny. Let's go back to the election. And as the campaign nears the halfway point, the latest polling suggests there's been little impact so far on the major parties' expected results. But high-profile independents have gained ground.
Liberal MP Jason Falinski is one of those being challenged in his Northern Beaches seat of Mackellar by Climate 200-backed independent Sophie Scamps. Here he is speaking to 7:30 last night.
It is a political party. I mean, if you're funded by the same people, if you're running the same strategy, if you're using the same technology platforms, the same consulting groups, it's dishonest. It's dishonest. I think this is a global phenomenon that we're observing. We've seen in the US and the UK realignment around values. But as we sit here today, Anthony Albanese's only credible path to government is if Climate 200 can win a swag of seats off the Liberal Party. The Labor Party is not actually gaining ground in any of the traditional seats where you expect to see change of seats.
Jason Falinski there, and the independent candidate in the seat of Mackellar, Dr. Sophie Scamps, joins us now. Good morning. Welcome to News Breakfast.
Thank you very much for having me.
I just want to take up one of the points that Jason Falinski just said, whereas you've got the same consulting firms, you're backed by the same group, you've virtually got the same policies. You are a combined force, aren't you? You aren't independents. That's their point. How do you argue against that?
Absolutely, I'm independent. So my campaign started over 2 years ago, sitting around the kitchen tables of people who live in Mackellar. And what we did was we asked people, what are the issues that are important to you? What solutions would you like to see? And do you feel that your voice can be heard? And overwhelmingly, people felt that they could not be heard, that they were not listened to, and they were taken for granted. So the issues that I'm taking to the election come directly from the people of Mackellar. And we spent hundreds of volunteer hours investing in just listening to people, and that's where my policies come from. I think if there is, a similarity between policies between the different independents, it's because this government has failed to lead on the issues that are really important to Australians across the country: climate change, corruption, gender, health.
But it's not just policies that you're suggesting have sort of accidentally been the same. It's the fact that you're using the same consulting groups. Can I ask you a question? How often do you talk to the other independents?
I haven't even met all the other independents.
But how often do you talk to them? Do you talk to them on the phone?
No, I've met Zali a few times now. We had photos taken together the other day. I would probably say I've spoken to Zali maybe a handful of times. And we did go out to dinner together because she's a nice woman. And, my husband, we're new to this. My husband as well got advice from her husband on how to manage the whole situation. So it really is that day-to-day support, yeah.
So Josh Frydenberg, I think it was yesterday, saying that you have no costings, no policies, a slogan and a billboard, and that's all there is. Does he have a point?
No, not at all. So what we are doing, so the government has been ruling with slogans for the last 3 years, gas-led recovery, this is not a race. That's all we hear is slogans. And even now, they've had 10 years to get a serious plan on climate change. And even now, the Nationals and the Liberal Party are still bickering over whether they're actually going to meet their 2050 net zero commitment. That party is in chaos. What people of Australia want is constructive, clear plans so that business can invest in the future and that there's certainty around these policies. At the moment, there's chaos. And what I would do as an independent is work constructively across the party spectrum so that we can find solutions and get this country moving forward again. And we've been working very hard on our policies as well. And when I say our, I mean my team, not the independents. I have developed my own policies. I've developed a health policy, climate policy, gender policy, arts policy, economics policy and integrity policy. So we've been doing a lot of work on this, and that's come from within my own team and from consulting with people within my own electorate. OK, so if it comes down to it, the numbers are super tight. Who are you going to support to put which side in government? So if there is any negotiation, I just have to let you know that I will absolutely be going into bat for the people of Mackellar. The people of Mackellar have felt that they've been taken for granted and ignored for so long now, and it's their issues that I'm taking to the election. So the issues that I'm taking, the priorities that I'm taking are crystal clear. And that is those things that I mentioned: climate change, integrity, gender, and very locally, health is a huge issue for us, and mental health. There's a mental health crisis on the northern beaches. So I will have to wait to see what either party brings to the negotiating table. I, like every other Australian, will need to see what they bring to me and what they will offer, the people of Australia.
Well, Zali Steggall said she'd be inclined to support the Liberals, but not if Scott Morrison was the leader. What's your thoughts on that?
I don't think that I have a position to say who's the leader of the Liberal Party. No, I don't hold that same position.
Josh Frydenberg said you're not offering voters transparency. Don't the voters deserve to know who you would put in government if you're in that position?
Well, just on the issue of transparency, what we have at the moment is a member who says one thing to us to keep us happy in the electorate and votes the opposite way. So his vote and his voice is controlled by the party. So that's not transparent, and that is dishonest when you're saying one thing to your constituents and then voting an opposite way. What I will be doing is talking directly to the people in my electorate, bringing them into their democracy, finding out how they would like me to vote on particular legislation, and really working collaboratively with the electorate. And they will know what they're getting, because I will only be answerable to the people of Mackellar, and I will not be answerable to a party.
Sophie Scamps, just finally, in Croaky online, you were quoted as saying that you were asking people to vote one for you and then they can decide how they want a preference because, and I quote, we're trying to appeal to all political sides. Is that one of the danger for these independents? You're trying to be everything to everyone?
No, I don't think so. I think what people are missing is the sensible common sense centre. People want to bring that decision making back to the sensible centre. People want to see focus on issues and not ideology. We have major challenges ahead of us, as we know, and people want to start moving the country forward to face these challenges instead of all the infighting and the adversarial tactics between the two parties. We need to get our country moving again, and there's a lot of opportunities for us that we're going to miss out on unless we do start working constructively together, and that's what I want to bring to this parliament and to this election.
All right, Sophie Scamps, independent for Mackellar. Thanks for coming on the program.
Thank you so much. Thanks for having me.